Why does freedom sometimes feel lonely? Why does being surrounded by thousands of people on a college campus still feel isolating? And why do young people report some of the highest rates of loneliness in a world that says these should be the best years of their life? Today on The Bad, the Ugly, the Good, and Healing You, we're going to be talking about loneliness in young adults. We're going to be talking about the in between season where independence increases, yet stability decreases. Coming up next.
He placed this voice within me, and I'm answering his call. I choose light when life feels broken. I choose faith when hope feels small. This is my destiny to speak healing, hope, and love. Yeah, I've answered his call.
Welcome back to The Bad, the Ugly, the Good, and Healing You. I am your host, Dr. Janita Griffin, also known as Doc G. This is episode 11, part 3 of my Loneliness Out Loud series, and we're going to be talking about loneliness in young adults and college students. But first, I want you to imagine stepping onto a college campus for the very first time. You see, the sidewalks are full of students rushing to their classrooms, backpacks over their shoulders. You see smiles and laughters all around you. You already see groups of friends already walking together as if they've known each other for years. You see buildings tower over you, full of possibility. This is supposed to be the beginning of something exciting, a new chapter, a new identity, a new future. But yet, for many students in that moment, there's another feeling quietly rising beneath the excitement. And that's that question: where do I fit in here? Do I belong here? You see, because while college is often looked at as the time of connection and discovery, for many students, it's also the first time that they are away from their parents. They are away from their friends, their support group, all that they know. College is often painted as one of the most exciting seasons of life. But for many students, the reality doesn't always match that expectation. Because behind that crowded classroom, that busy campus sidewalk, and all that constant activity and so much to do, many young adults are quietly struggling with something they did not expect, and that is loneliness. But not every young adult is walking across the college campus. For many at this stage of life, it can look very different. Instead of them being in lecture halls and dorm rooms, and they're stepping directly into their realities of young adulthood, and they're trying to figure it all out. Not everybody want to go to college. They're trying to figure out what they want to do. They're searching for work. The bills come in. They have to learn how to support themselves. Responsibilities grow, and the pressure of having to figure it out and get it together can feel overwhelming because their parents are expecting them to do more. They're expecting them to be a lot more mature. While others are navigating the college life, these are young adults that are navigating the independence, the uncertainty, and the challenge of building a future without no clear roadmap. And this brings me to the bad. The bad is the pressure of emerging into adulthood. Young adulthood is filled with transitions, identity shifts, relocation, academic pressure, financial stress. So many. I recall when I was in high school going into college, There was so much to do. Very exciting for me. I cheated though. I kind of picked the local college, whereas many people that I know, including my sister, they went away. They went away to college in different states, whereas I stayed local. And so I was able to cheat and come back home with my support system and go back and forth to college. But many choose not to do that. And there's relationship instability. Oftentimes, many students try to have high school sweethearts and they try to continue that relationship and they try the long distance way. You leave your familiar environment, you lose automatic community. You must start from scratch, you must reset. That's pretty heavy. So, I want to start with the research, getting into the research. And that is, studies show that young adults consistently report the highest levels of loneliness compared to older adults. And why is this? This is because identity is still forming. Support systems are unstable. Comparison culture is intense. When you're on campus, there are so many different people from different nationalities there. And you meet very different people from all walks of life in the country and some out of the country. And it can be very scary for a lot of our young people. And so it's intense. There is also social media that amplifies perceived success. This is another factor contributing to loneliness among young adults today, and that is the social media. During my day, we had magazines, we had television to kind of compare ourselves to, and we did the models on the magazine, but now it's much different. You have the social media aspect. We didn't have it then. So that's an important factor contributing to a lot of the loneliness among our young adults today. Social media amplifies perceived success. What you see online is often not the real full story of someone's life. It's a highlight reel, a story. People tend to compare themselves to people who are just sharing their positive moments, their best moments, their achievements, their celebrations, their social gatherings, travel, their accomplishments and milestones. These are what many young adults are comparing themselves to when they look at social media, adults too. And rarely do we see the quiet moments of uncertainty, struggle. And I have seen a rising in that happening where I see a lot of people are being very vulnerable on social media now. But most often, you don't see that when a young person get to college, they're strolling around and through social media, it can create impression that everyone is thriving, even though they're not. It can look like everyone has it all together. It can look like everyone has their exciting social lives, clear career paths, confidence about their future and knowing what they want to do. It can look that way, but meanwhile, many young adults are privately navigating that question. Where do I belong? Who am I? Am I doing enough? Why does everyone else seem to be happier than me? This constant exposure to other people's highlight moments can create what we call upward social comparison, and this is the tendency to compare ourselves to people who we believe are doing better than we are. And these comparisons happen repeatedly and cause negative cognitive distortions in a lot of people, where they create a perception that this is reality when it's truly not. Students begin to believe that I'm the only one who is struggling. I'm behind everyone else. I must be doing something wrong. But the truth is, many people they are comparing themselves to, they're also struggling with these loneliness emotions, the self doubt, and the uncertainty. They're simply just not posting it. So social media doesn't just connect people, it also magnifies the illusion that everyone else is succeeding effortless while you are struggling. And that's the illusion. And that illusion can deepen emotions of isolation. So I say that to say that social media doesn't just show success, it amplifies the perception that everyone is succeeding all the time. And that is not the truth. And when you have young people surrounded by that constant comparison, it becomes easier for them to question where they belong, which is why loneliness is the stage of life that often has less to do with physical isolation when it comes to college students. It's more about that perceived disconnection, the comparison of performance and digital media, that digital illusion that young adults live with in this performance culture, if you will. I feel like young adults live in a lot of what we call performance culture. Everyone looks like they're connected online, everyone looks successful, looks happy. And it's a false reality. This is an illusion, and it's not real intimacy when you're looking at the social media online. Many college students experience so many different forms of loneliness, especially with coming onto a college campus the very first time and asking the question where they fit in. And some students have difficulties with roommates, and they may not even be connected to their roommates. So they experience roommate loneliness. They have the academic pressure. They have the identity confusion, figuring out what they want to do. I changed my major 4 times when I was undergrad. Of course, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people and provide a service, and I knew what I wanted to do, but there were so many different things that you could do within that concept. So I landed here. But many students are experiencing that. They're experiencing that identity confusion, and they have this fear of falling behind. You can be surrounded by many people and still feel unseen. So before we move further, I want to get into a conversation. I want to kind of pause here for a moment and do something different, because I feel like sometimes the experience of loneliness, especially for the young adults and college students, is hard to explain with just statistics or me saying it alone. I feel like because much of the struggle doesn't happen out loud, it happens internally in their thoughts that they don't share, in the questions they ask themselves quietly, in the comparisons we make when we look around and feel like everyone else belongs, but we don't. So, I'm going to show you a short skit that is meant to give you advice of what the internal dialogue might look like and sound like in many students today. So, stay tuned for a short skit, and it is called Surrounded But Alone. Imagine walking across a college campus, students everywhere, conversations, laughter, music playing in someone's headphones. And yet, inside one student's mind, the conversation sounds very different.
Look at all these people. Thousands of students on this campus. And somehow I still feel invisible. Everyone seems to know where they're going, who they belong with, who their people are. And here I am, walking past crowds like a ghost.
You're not invisible. You're just overwhelmed.
No, it's more than that. I sit in classes with the same people every week. But nobody talks to me. Everyone already has their friend groups, their roommates, their inside jokes. And I feel like I showed up too late. Like everyone else figured out college life except me.
What if they feel the same way?
No, they're laughing. They're hanging out. They're posting pictures. Meanwhile, I'm scrolling through my phone pretending I'm busy so no one notices I'm alone. Do you know what it feels like? To sit in a cafeteria full of people and still feel like you don't belong anywhere?
Yes, a lot of students feel that way. More than you think.
Then why does it look like everyone is thriving? Every time I open social media, everyone's living their best life. Parties, trips, friends, and I'm just trying to make it through the week.
Social media shows moments, not reality.
But what if something's wrong with me? What if I'm just not the kind of person people connect with? What if college is supposed to be the best time of my life, and I'm already missing it?
Or what if you're just in a transition? You left home. Your identity is shifting. Your environment changed. Your nervous system is still trying to adjust. Loneliness in this season doesn't mean failure. It means you're human.
Then why does it hurt so much?
Because humans are wired for connection. Your brain isn't broken. Your heart isn't weak. Your loneliness is information. It's telling you that connection matters.
But how do I fix it?
You don't fix loneliness by pretending it doesn't exist. You acknowledge it. You take small risks, a conversation, a club meeting, a study group. One step. Connection grows slowly, but it grows.
So I'm not the only one?
Not even close. Some of the people you walk past every day are fighting the exact same battle. They just hide it well.
And this is the quiet conversation happening in the minds of many young adults today. Students surrounded by people, yet feeling emotionally alone. Because loneliness during this stage of life often isn't about physical isolation, it's about belonging. It's about wondering, do I fit here? Do I matter here? Do people really see me? College and young adulthood are seasons of transition. You're leaving familiar environments, redefining identity, building new relationships, and trying to understand who you're becoming.
That kind of transition can make even the most confident people feel uncertain and disconnected. So, if parts of this skit sounded familiar to you, I want you to hear me clearly. Feeling lonely during this stage of life does not mean you are failing. It just simply means you are human, and understanding loneliness is the first step towards rebuilding connection, bringing that to your awareness. So, moving into the good is how young adults can rebuild connection. I have 5 steps that I want to offer you. First, you have to stop comparing timelines. There is no universal schedule for how many people's lives are supposed to unfold. Some people find their direction early, while some people have to discover their purpose through the years of exploration and just trying to figure it out. I feel like social media can make it seem like everyone has it all together. Everyone is just moving ahead faster, but every journey develops at its own pace. I changed my major many times during undergraduate. So even though you may have a direction, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have that actual profession, career path figured out. So I just want you to know that do not compare yourself to other people's timeline. Everyone, every path is scheduled at their own pace, and it just takes time. Two, shift from performance to presence. Be real, be real and authentic. So many people, so many young adults feel the pressure of just kind of becoming successful, confident, and they feel the pressure of having to have it all together. But I feel like meaningful connections doesn't come from performing the perfect version of yourself. It comes from being genuine and present. It comes from being authentic and honest about who you are in life. Being real with people will always build deeper connections and deeper relationships than trying to impress people. I feel like this generation now, they want people to be real and authentic, and they can kind of sense when people are not. You have to look at being authentic and being yourselves, okay? Third, build depth over volume. One meaningful connection matters more than 50 acquaintances. In this world, so many people are celebrating having hundreds of followers, connections, and acquaintances. And it's easy for us to believe that there are more people out there who don't feel lonely. But I feel like real belonging comes from depth, not necessarily numbers. And I feel like if you can connect and have one meaningful friendship where you feel seen and understood and supported and heard, you can have that one deep connection, and that will weigh more, that will be more meaningful than having 50 casual relationships that are just surface level. So be authentic, be yourself, and work on making one deep connection, one strong, genuine, authentic connection. Fourth, limit digital comparison triggers. So your mind was never designed to kind of constantly absorb, people's highlighted reels. It was not. When you stroll through so many different images on social media, you're scrolling through people posting of their accomplishments, vacations, their relationships. This is an illusion that everyone is thriving and no one is struggling, you know? So I say that to say, do not compare yourself to social media postings, if you will. Sometimes protecting your peace means just kind of stepping back from that social media and looking at how you can reconnect with your own life at your own pace. And five, join structured community organizations, join clubs, join faith groups. There are professional networks, volunteer, study groups. I feel like there are organizations and clubs, especially you can locate it on social media where you can find your group, you can find your vibe, your people, if you will. So look at encouraging and pushing yourself to take that step to join different organizations and community. I feel like belonging grows with repetition and consistency. So you do want to be consistent with encouraging yourself to join organizations. You're not failing adulthood. You just want to look at how you can go about navigating and transitioning it so that loneliness doesn't feel permanent. I feel like it's often the space between who you were and who you are becoming. So you do want to look at how you can rebuild connections, okay? So before we close, I want to let you know that this loneliness series, the next and final episode is going to be something that people who are married may experience. And so the next episode in Loneliness Out Loud is going to be loneliness in marriage. And yes, you can share a home, you can share a bed, you can share a life with someone and still feel lonely. So, in this next episode, episode 12, we're going to unpack loneliness inside of a marriage and what that looks like, and look at how we can kind of rebuild that emotional connection and how to heal our marriage. Because I feel like sometimes the deepest loneliness isn't that you're alone, it's when someone is right beside you and you feel lonely. Okay, so that concludes this episode for today. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and thank you for joining me.
He placed this voice within me, and I'm answering his